just picked a bouquet of flowers, and the best among them is Queen Anne's lace. Considered a weed, sometimes a pretty extensively aggressive weed, it is one of the most beautiful flowers out there, and it has a long history of use in both decoration, cooking, and medicinal preparations, and it's documented throughout the ages. References to it in all the books I have, certainly, and definitely used by indigenous peoples. Here's another view of the little bouquet I made. I added also some flowering mint, and I'm going to actually go pick a couple of Silver King artemisias to balance that out. But it makes a beautiful bouquet. You can add other colors to it, of course. I'm just kind of grabbing whatever seems to be blooming right now. So here's some of the Queen Anne's lace that's left so far this season. A lot of it has already bloomed and gone, but this patch has a bunch of flowers still. It definitely has the nice seed heads, perfect for picking and drying right now. You can see those fresh young seeds inside of there, and if you dry it now, it will hang on to those seeds and makes a beautiful flower for dried flower arrangements in the winter, but it also is a perfect time to dry the seeds should they be wanting to use them medicinally. The flowers, though, are still really pretty. Pollinators love these flowers. You often find all manner of insects on them. See if we can find one that has a characteristic center. There's a pretty typical Queen Anne's lace. I think it's useful to note that at the top you see almost no leaves, but when you do see leaves, they're just very, very, very fine, feathery looking leaves. Oh, here's a good one. Now, there's a Queen Anne's lace leaf. There you can see it's very open, finely toothed. And it's hanging out here with New York ironweed, which is, what a stunning color. Woo! Perfect for hanging out with the Queen Anne's lace. I'm going to do a little bit more harvesting of flowers at this point in the year, and a whole bunch more harvesting of these seed heads. This is just a bumper crop year for this plant. Queen Anne's lace, Daucus carota. You'll find it almost everywhere in the United States. More later. Here are the roots of Queen Anne's lace. This section of roots has already gone by to the point where it's too tough to eat. I mean, you could probably boil it and make something to drink out of it. But the time to harvest them for eating is before they flower. And even then, our cultivated carrots have been cultivated for color and texture and lots of things. But this is forager food. Foragers will find this stuff in the spring. They have to be careful in identifying it, as there are some other plants in this family that are toxic, including water hemlock, but they don't grow in the same places. This is more of a meadow plant, a drier plant. These roots, if I cut into them, definitely smell like carrots, but they're too tough to eat. But that's what they look like, and in the spring I've picked some and just tasted them, and they taste like carrot, a little bitter, but I think if they're boiled, they would be great. I also read where some people collect those roots in the spring, dry them, and then grind them as part of a coffee substitute drink, including chicory and maybe some other things. Plants also bring all kinds of interesting little pollinators to the garden, and I don't know if we can capture that today in the breeze. A lot of what's munching on this plant or getting the nectar are very small bees and flies, but I've seen bigger insects too. And it's known to bring beneficial insects and pollinators into blueberry patches. So part of why I'm gathering seed is I'm going to try to get it established in my blueberry bed this year and see if I can improve the production of that bed. I like to try new things. So there are some really good videos on the internet for identifying this plant properly. Important to be able to do that because of the poisonous lookalikes, but in my opinion, most of the lookalikes don't really look like it once you get to see it. If you know carrot tops, this plant definitely looks like a carrot top. It has very, very finely cut leaves. And in the spring, when it's mostly leaves, it's particularly notable. I don't know if you can see it in the light today, but the stem also is very hairy. Little fine hairs. If you run your hands up it, you can feel the hairs. The flowers have a pretty notable shape that's very different than a lot of the other carrot lookalikes. But it's important to learn this plant from someone who knows it, I think. I think nothing like first-hand experience. The guidebooks are good, but pictures don't always help that much. So it's important to ID a plant like this from every aspect of it: the leaves, the flowers, the growth pattern, the stems. And as I said, there are some outstanding videos on the internet that do a really good job of matching it up for you to see side by side with the plants you don't want to be picking. So here we have the seed heads that I have gathered. I had a lot of Queen Anne's lace this year, and I'm going to be hanging all of these to dry. I will be collecting some of the seed. I'm interested in seeing what I can make for medicine out of the seed for limited use. The seeds throughout recent and past history have been used to prevent pregnancy, and sometimes used after the fact as a morning after medicine to prevent pregnancy. That being said, these seeds consumed by a pregnant woman could cause premature abortion or miscarriage, so that's something to be considered, of course. I don't know that I'm going to make any use of the seeds internally. I basically love the flowers and use those and things. And the flowers, by the way, in addition to making jelly, can be used to make fritters. You pick the flowers fresh and batter them and cook them, and they make a pretty fritter. Some people also use them to adorn cakes and jellos and whatnot. They can also be pressed and dried into some beautiful, beautiful dried printed looking flowers. The plant is known to contain vitamin K, B, C, pectin, lecithin, glutamine, phosphatide, of course, keratin, I'm not going to say that right, keratin, flavonoids, and certainly essential oils, like all flowering plants have some essential oils in them. Queen Anne's lace doesn't have a particularly notable smell other than the carrot smell, but that's interesting for sure. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today on this video about Queen Anne's lace, Daucus carota, a member of the carrot family, the parsley family, the Apiaceae family. Wild carrot is something to learn about, know about, but for correct identification, you should pick up one of these guidebooks. This one is Newcomb's Guide to Identification of Wildflowers, and this is Weeds of the Northern U.S. They're both terrific guides. I'll post the information about those in the comments. If you like this video and videos like this, click the like button and consider subscribing. That's it for today. So thanks for joining me, Debra Holgren at Acorn Herbals. Bye.